Hey everybody,
Hey,
welcome to
hey.
because we've got Kyle on the train in Australia, and we've got me here in my little home studio, and so we're on an adventure into the unknown today. This is going to be exciting and fantastic. You've made it to the destiny of your soul. I'm Angela Talent. I wrote Poems from a Lost Soul, and I have the Relatively Damaged podcast. And Kyle, I'm going to introduce him today because we're in the unknown world. Kyle is the author of Decide Your Destiny and the custodian of the Decide Your Destiny movement in Australia. So we're so glad everybody's here today to talk about entrusting your future to yourself. Now, there was also lots of homework last week. I don't know if you guys checked it out. Where did it go? I just had it up. Like so many questions in our homework. Let's see. Let me go down the list of, it was 11 questions. So
Holy
how much
moly.
of life is getting in? I know, right? How much of life is getting in our own way or tripping ourselves up? Number 2, how much is getting in our own way? Well, maybe those are the two of the same question. How much is not seeing clearly or getting caught up in the physical, technical, or mechanics of things? How much would you invest if you knew your dream would come true? How much would you investigate? How much would you commit? How far into your potential could you reach if you cleared away the garbage? Garbage beliefs, garbage people, garbage self-criticism, etc. How are you confronting that negative voice in your head? How can you be loving to the parts of you that you don't like? And then write out a list of types of mentors you want in your life and what areas. Example, spiritual, physical, financial, etc. And then what could a mentor help me with? Will this person help me achieve my goals? Whew, that was a lot.
That's a mouthful, that one.
Yeah. But this week is entrusting your future to yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Like we've been saying with the episodes, we've been following the book that chapter by chapter, and then we've got the lovely Angela who's been providing a poem for us to be able to, align. So doing these podcasts, and so the chapter that I wrote was very, I think it was the most healing and probably the most controversial, and most kind of sharing my truth, regardless if it's politically correct, if it's appropriate by other authorities or whatever the case may be. It was just, hey, this is it. This is, whether you like it or not, take or leave it. This is how it is, and I think that's really where the title of today's show came from. Was kind of, how do you entrust your future? Because otherwise we're on the ends of those strings, like little ears or puppets being pulled different sort of ways, and by our emotions. And yeah, I mean, that's what I took away from the chapter from this episode.
Yeah, I loved that chapter. What was really interesting to me is that you were really in the world of possibility and unknown. What could happen, and there were so many people in your world that were certain, especially like clinicians and doctors, that said you need to go this way, and then you had Ward saying, well, there is another way. And I think, at least for me, what would have been really difficult is figuring out what was the path for me. Yeah, like listening
Such a
to the
hard
heart
thing in life. Yeah, constant with that, aren't we? Like seasons of life, changes in life, but then also maybe sometimes maybe too many opportunities. And like in today's day, we've got so many opportunities, maybe on career-wise, or this person became TikTok famous here, this person, and then in your mind you got all these opportunities, and then it's like, well, what do I take? And therefore, what's the next step?
Well, right, and I think though too, one of the big things you pointed out, or that I recognize in that chapter is that there are always these other people in the world that are certain they know the right path for you. And I no longer believe that to be true, but how do it's almost like you have to experience that, um, to have that experience to know, "Oh, no, I can only know what's right for me." Like, um, I have a little thing behind my computer here. It says,
Tell
"When
us, reveal.
yeah, you have the urge to give unrequested advice, whether aloud or in your mind, or you find yourself thinking that you know what's right for someone else, ask yourself, whose business am I in? My opinion, and I know what's right
Who's been
for
this?
someone else, then listen to your own advice and know that you're the one it's meant for. Stay in your own business and be happy."
I like that.
I can't remember where I found it or if I made it up. I have no idea.
That you came out of you.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it came out of me, but I do have, and by the way, everybody, listeners, we are going to have a little shorter episode today because, like Kyle, it's a busy day here in the States. He's in Australia, I'm in the States, and I've got to leave at quarter to the hour. So
Just
I
hit
want to
it.
get in.
Give us that poem.
I
Give us
actually,
that saucy
yeah,
poem. Oh, sorry.
no, you're fine because we have a little bit of a lag. But so I wrote this poem a few weeks ago for this chapter. And then today I actually wrote another one, not even realizing what we were talking about. And then I was reviewing what we were talking about. So I have two. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so this one is called Possibility. What is possible? Could it be anything? How do you know? What do you see? When was it made? Where did it come from? Could it be it was once just a dream, just a possibility?
Choo 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 choo. I absolutely love that. I love that one. But I love that one. I absolutely love that. That's kind of opens your mind a little bit more. When you send it to me, that's what I felt like. Who chose this way for you? Who made this up for you? Who created this for you? It's up your own. Going to be put on. And the same thing
You broke up.
life. Sorry. Really loved it. Really loved it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think for me, I love the idea of the questions in the poem. How do you know? What's possible? How do you know? How do you know? It's like this deep knowing, and it's there in all of us, that knowing. Now, also, I think sometimes we have to travel into the unknown to figure out what's possible. And it's actually I'm reading a book, Transcend, by Scott Barry Kaufman, that is fantastic. But this one, so this is the poem that I wrote today. I delight in the adventure of the unknown, finding its surprises, its insights, its delights. When I explore what I have not seen, I find great gifts of knowledge and peace, which inevitably replace my fear and anxiety. And I think sometimes we have to make friends with the unknown, especially if we're going to entrust our future to ourselves and learn to trust our hearts and learn to trust our soul in what we feel compelled to do and know that it's going to be okay.
Exactly. And so much. What I admire that poem to me was just opening your mind just being able to open, just being told what you've been, what realities that have kind of been condemned on you, but have been laid on you, and why am I making this up? Who's sown like the seeds of the, I can only be this, I can only do this. It's only this way, so that way. I think it's like a equilibrium. It's like balance of, okay, unlock it, but then when you choose something, immerse yourself, go into it. When you want to actually go, okay, this is the direction that I believe is the right direction, it's time. And then that's how you actually work out, and you don't have that life of regret going, I want a pathway, would I have discovered what I really should have been doing, so.
Yeah, and you broke up a little bit, so I'm gonna cut in, and you're probably still talking. But I think sometimes I'm cutting in because you broke up. I don't think we've totally lost you yet, but I think that sometimes, like, we have to figure out who we are. We have to find that purpose. And we know when we're off, but I think in today's world, in today's society, it is so easy to go the path that's normally traveled, right? It isn't there, I think there's a poem, the path less traveled or something like that. And
Yep.
it's easier to go the well-worn path that everyone says, oh, well, you need a 9 to 5 job, and you need this, and you need this, and you need this, instead of really listening to the core of who we are. And what happens when we get stuck in those holes of not trusting ourselves?
And I think perspective is a tool, a big tool to use. I think probably for both of us to get on these channel lives, to be able to do, I'm not saying that this is something that no one else can do. Plenty of people do the books and do the writing and ask questions and confront ourselves down, belief systems and all those sorts of things. I think sometimes that perspective happens because of things happening into your life, but sometimes that perspective comes the world around you, and you're going, well, and if you've seen the full spectrum of life, you don't need to hold my grandfather's hand, as he passed away, and very sad, obviously, because he was like a father to me and raised me. Being able to hold his hand and see the past, the physical, and the spiritual go beyond. Being able to be in that moment, it kind of deflated a lot. I mean, today's day, I think I've spoken about this before, but today's about, we don't show death, we show sex, or sex in terms of mainstream media, things like that, and I think sometimes it's become being aware of the kind of journey that we're all on, the finite physical, and then the infinite spiritual. Become aware of that, and you want to play more in the infinite spiritual. What I know, I've got a headache, I know I'm tired, I know I'm stressed out, I know I've got all these different people and life paths I should take, but as a spiritual being, if my spirit continues on to be doing now, that actually brings pride, brings heart to that spirit, to that soul. I think when you do that, that's kind of clarifies what direction you need to take. And I heard this as well the other day. It was something along the lines of the restriction, freedom is the discipline of action, something like that. Like, so sometimes if you go, you limit yourself in certain areas, so that you can only go forward. I can't go left and I can't go turn left, I can't turn right, forward here. And so sometimes you will put on restrictions for yourself. From 5 to 7, this is my time in the morning. I work out.
Yeah.
I need to do, but it's the restriction of freedom is like the discipline of action. I totally basically saying you will be more disciplined with your actions if you restrict the freedom, creativity of maybe I can do this, maybe I can be spontaneous over there, maybe I could just go there. And it's like, but if this 5 to 7 time is important for me to get my medicine, do this, do that, then you're able to have action.
Right. Yeah. And just real quick, I think a little bit of even what you're talking about. Paul Fortune is here. Hi, Paul. And he's a good friend of mine.
Paul.
And he is in charge of the Rewrite Your Story movement. Which takes a look at some of those past things, and what are the stories that we're telling ourselves and how can we rewrite them so that we can see those possibilities like that we're talking about, and I think that comes down to the topic we're talking about even is entrusting your future to yourself. And if the story that you believe about yourself is so negative and so, you're always beating yourself up or you're always telling yourself bad things, then there's no way that you can move forward, that you can even see the possibilities because they couldn't
Amen.
possibly exist in those old stories.
Yeah, exactly. And big part of entrustment is burning off the past, and a lot of that past are a lot of us is those negative feedback loops of what we we've told ourselves, and sometimes there is comfort in feeling like a victim. There is comfort in poor me and my struggles and my woes in this lifetime.
Well, isn't that the known though? Right, that's the known. That's the well-traveled path for a lot of us.
Yeah, that's why I can't get out.
Yeah, and it's so hard to I think get out of that mindset. It can be because what happens is it feels awkward and weird. It doesn't feel right at first. And um again, the meditation that I'm just teaching the kids at school, a few of them did exactly what happened to me. They went up in coherence, they could get in the green, and then they would crash. And I'd work them, help them get back to the green, and they would crash. And a lot of times that happens because we're comfortable in the red and uncomfortable in the green, even though it's not the healthiest place to be in the red. That's when we're in dysregulation, we're out of coherence. So it feels awkward and weird. I will never, well, I will forget exactly. It happens slowly for me, the process of getting to have peace in my home and quiet and to be okay with that. It and it had to slowly happen, but at first when I tried to force it, it was tough.
It is, but that toughness, or that struggle, there's beauty in that too.
Oh yeah.
There's beauty in that kind of. You fell down, you scratch your knee, sweat the blood. There's beauty in that, that's part of your soul.
Yeah.
Like why else would you keep going?
Yeah.
It doesn't make to push through that.
Yeah. No, well, you're reminding me of the question I asked at my family breakfast to everyone. What strengths did you gain from a failure you had this year?
Yeah. I think you asked that on the podcast too. I think that was one of the homeworks as well.
Yeah, I still love that question. Because it reminds me that with every failure, with every challenge, that what's going to happen is I'm going to learn something. So now failure, it doesn't have to be so scary. Whereas before, failure meant I became a failure, or I instead of just,
That's
oh, there was
yeah,
a failure, it was I am a failure, or like Brene Brown talks about, I am a mistake. Well, that wasn't true. It never was true. It just was I made a mistake or I had a failure. The I am
yep.
is over here, separate from those words.
But that shows you, and you know, a big point of like your future is kind of working out okay, what are conducive to the future that you want. And I think a big part of it is we attach our identity to the failures or to our beliefs or to nations, you know, or to whatever it is. But because we attach those, okay, you know, it's where it's got to be that kind of disconnect, you know, and that's where you see a lot of life, and they're more, you know, crap me out, yeah, that happened, but you know, I came out of it, you know, and people that can have like the world's hate with keyboard heroes, and somehow still come out the next morning, and the people that can be cancelled off the face of earth, and like literally, basically digitally, you know, and you hear some of these stories of some of these people, and it's simple. Oh, it's cancelled. Like, like, well, I'll go again next time. I'll try to say it's destructive. It's a serious, and like their business, everything is just totally wiped out. It's like they're digital, and so for me, like you see some of these people, and then they come back. There's people that play in life, you know, and they're able to play in life because who they are to wrong was done to me, you know, or you know, my belief has been challenged, so that means I've been challenged at the core of the being that I am. You can't really evolve if you're so identity is so connected and so, like maybe a momentary belief or opinion. You know, I think this is the evolution. You got to be able to go into the soul, and your future growth is that spiritual evolution. Is that okay? Yep, I've got this physical, you know, physical sleeve that I'm wearing for this period of time of my lifetime, but there's something deep, and the beauty in life is that we all have that opportunity to kind of evolve, guard some of the old ways, you know, and forward, and how that can better help us in the future. I think questions that you ask, and you know, like failure. I mean, failure is such a. How else are you going to learn? Like, but like I learn best by trying. I learn best by trying, and at the moment I've got a few different opportunities with career and like different things I can do, and there's so many different like directions. And I'm someone who I just want to sink my teeth into it. I'm hungry. I want to get stuck in. I want to just be running down, or I want to be just running down that road like full pelt and just like going to that discovery little period of like going, okay, which way do I take aim and then launch? And for me, a big part of the challenge of and what way you want to go is right, that fear of not failing. Like, oh, but what if I do this and it's not perfect? What if I try that and someone rejects me? People don't like it, or they don't like seeing me in this, and that's the kind of the mental like have on us, and we've got to kind of go, all right, let me walk down each path, rejection, experience that rejection, and see which one. Oh, I'm follow my own sword for this direction, or I'm willing to go the whole 100 miles for this direction. when you look at failure, I mean, like failures or challenges or trial and errors, you need to rise.
Well, it isn't in, in failure and things like that, like life happens in the arena, right? We had that quote by Theodore Roosevelt a few weeks ago. It is not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. And it's the face that's marred by sweat and blood and dust that is that like there's truly living there, not to live in the mess, but to try to, like what you're saying, to go into that unknown. So for instance, Maslow said our healthy subjects are generally unthreatened and unfrightened by the unknown. They accept it, are comfortable with it, and often are even more attracted by it than the known. And I think that when we're willing to fail, we're going to the I don't know world, right? That we've talked about so often. It's just how do you get to feel safe there, right? Like, what are some tools so that I can feel safe there? Well, for me, it was a sign that said, stay curious. And right underneath it, how will I be surprised today? So that I could remember that I wanted to be in the unknown world because that's the only world that really existed anyway.
Exactly. It's true. It's true. It's that's the kid that's exploring, that's picking something up, that's trying something out, getting the and then it's and having that experience of going, okay, like that didn't work that way. How to make sure I don't fall down and hurt myself. I mean, that's part of failure as well. Is going, okay, we're not saying we'll be saying um, like just seek out failure or you keep failing at something. It's like you'll fail and then you go, okay, like who do I need to bring into my life to help me? What mentor, what bit of material, what book do I need to read on this? To actually let go of that is causing me to kind of like a lot of times like discard the waste that is kind of being carried with you, and then so it's like kind of you go for a job, right? And you go for a job or you're going to your mind instantly goes to that power sort of struggle, right? Well, how do I kind of like oh, no, you need to go in there as the question asking, how can I help? Interested, like really show that you're listening, sort of thing, rather than they want to see. They know you don't know everything. Like you're starting the job, you don't need to have that sort of posture of like, point me where to go, I'll go there, and so like that's like maybe an old wasted crap that I had to discard of and have a better chance at the next job. So I think that's a big part of it as well for your future. That sort of stuff. It's like, okay, what can I get rid of? What can I throw away? What can I discard? And then who do I need to bring into my life? Who had this failure? Oh crap! I keep bumping my head up against this roof, this kind of invisible something that happened to my childhood, where I was told you won't be nothing, you can't ever amount to something that my partner, the person I'm in a relationship with, or like a friendship or whatever, and I know that, and so I kind of I keep stifling myself, and so that's where you go through failure, go for the things that are like, all right, let me give this thing a go, and look, hey, I'm going to learn a shit done, and then also bring people into your world to help you be able to go for it. I mean, look at sports, look at athletes and everything. Look how much they, they like how many millions of dollars they invest in their body. Not or invest into banks or invest into the lottery or invest like wherever or invest in oil and cigarettes. They invest millions of dollars into their body, into their.
Well, yeah, and yeah, I was gonna say, and they have all these people again telling them, and they may get conflicting advice, and so then they've got to trust that they can make the right decision for them. And and that's where I think a lot of people might be getting stuck is is in trusting themselves. So with you, like you made the decision, Ward was there to help. You trust it. And then I think you even started doing the meditation and you had vitamins hidden in the drawers and things like that, right? So it's like you knew.
You read that book good.
I did. But you knew at some point that you were like, "No, this is the path." And then you even hid it from other people to from the clinicians and things like that, and until, of course, they found the vitamins and everything. But you knew the path you needed to take for you. So how did you come to that conclusion? Was it a feeling? Was it, something that happened in a conversation? When did you know for certain, "Oh, this is the path?"
So I think the best thing I had was it's been laid out as best as I could, and I guess this is where you can do this visually in your mind. You can communicate it to you and share. But Ward basically said, "Hey, this is all the paperwork. This is the information. Read surgery right now. You'll have all these sorts of things that will happen. Like this is what they're going to cut. This is commencing. This is like how your life's going to be altered." So I could see into the future, see what see would be, compared to what I had envisioned when I was going to be a professional. And then the other way, I could, it was a little bit more hazy, but I could see the trust and the conviction that Ward had. And I think there's times where you believe yourself in the future, and then you also sometimes go, "Hey, look, I'm just going to have faith into you. You've shown me time after time. And you look at the history, time after me, you've done the right thing. You've got the right ethics and morals, and you're astute, and I'm going to trust you to guide me to my better future." What a lot of it was, to be honest with you, I didn't have the data, I didn't have the information, I didn't have the extent. I barely had the information that he had, but he explained it clearly, very logical. He showed me what the direction, what happened to you, and at the end of the day, I don't know if this is an answer people want to hear, but it had to come down to trust. It had to come down to me going, I'd rather trust you with my future than this other direction. And other direction years later, like people that are out there, who, um, like having surgeries and different sorts of things and procedures, but I was in a better position. And at that time, I was not in a good position. So it could be done at that time through
Right.
procedures were very for my future and very,
Yeah.
very impactful. So for me, at a position first and see what I can do first. And the Peruvians have this belief: heal your body first. Go and try and see what you can do first. If that doesn't work, go see like the clinician. Any advice? I'm not sharing anything. I'm not telling anybody what to do with your own life. You've got to buckle up and make the list of your future and your family's future. But all I'm saying is that this is not a med. It's something that people have been doing for thousands of years.
Yeah, and I think too, entrusting your future to yourself, because I asked this question of someone else trying to get in, and how do you know, right? How do you know that it's the right choice for you? And there is a sensation, there is a feeling, and only you can decide what that is for you, or figure, or not even decide. I think sometimes you have to go inside of yourself to understand, to become self-aware, so that you can hear what you want or your soul wants. And so we've only got about 5 minutes, so I'm thinking of homework, and I'm really thinking, if there's a decision that you've got to make, any decision, just sit with it. Go and be quiet and sit, and don't even think about that decision. Go in with an intention that you'll have some insight or something about it, but just sit and listen, to maybe ask a question about the decision, and just sit and listen to your body. Like, really feel into it, which is hard to explain. Feel
I'm going to
into
let
your
you
body and
try. I'll leave it up to you here. From here, it's over to you.
it's over to me. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people might not understand that. If you don't understand it, please reach out, have a card, let me know. I will do my best to articulate what that means. Ultimately, it's getting back in touch with who you are and taking back the reins to learn, what does it feel like to trust myself. So maybe if you don't trust yourself at first, it will be making an agreement with yourself and following through on that agreement and seeing what that feels like and how it impacts you. Maybe it will be, well, do I trust? I think I already trust myself. Well, what happens if you break an agreement with yourself? Then what does that feel like? You kind of have to turn it into a game. What does trusting myself feel like? What does not trusting myself feel like? How do I do that?
Yes, exactly. And I think attached onto that, you let me know if this as well, but I was thinking something along the lines of maybe the decision coming up, if you've got, you're in between two things, and in between two challenges or two ways, or two pathways, what to take direction in. Probably work out what do I have to give up, what ideas, what beliefs, what's something I have to give up. Two, what put in, what who do I need to see, what help do I need to get. So for me, traditional photography business is what I did for a long time, and was looking at, okay, like, how do I do stuff more online, or so first thing I had to give up was those those ties that I sewn to why I couldn't, who do I think. And when I mentioned the book, some of the reactions that people had, like, so, and then I had to go and get someone who could help me write the book and articulate the story. And so, that could be someone. You could have a digital mentor, you could have someone online who you're following, who you like video calls with. But that's the strategy that I took. So then I could myself, because I was making the right decisions. I was getting rid of the stuff that was going to corrupt my future, and then I was going to help. It's like, all right, I got to stop having the alcohol and cigarettes. Now let me put it in the apple. That's the base premise of it.
Yeah. Well, we've got a minute, so if it's okay with you, I think we've got enough homework. And I think, yeah, are you good? Because I've got to get a child to work. And I want to thank you for attempt to doing this on the train, and me and my crazy day of we had to move things around. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to our listeners and those that are watching and following. And there will be transcripts of this if you need it. I know that the audio was a little off today, but I think we mostly got the points, and we'll make sure to put them in the show notes for next week. So I'm Angela, that's Kyle, and this is the Destiny of Your Soul, and we shall see you next week. Bye-bye.
Guys, have a great week. Bye.